at the moment, I've got my upper trend line of Bitcoin declining wedge drawn connecting these two highs. So I've got at least 2 touches on the top side, and on this bottom side I've managed to get like 5 or 6 touches. So really good support, and I think it's a clear declining wedge. If it becomes a channel, then I will clone this, and if it goes a little bit extra, I will very often clone this and say that's the parallel channel. So sometimes the top of a parallel channel becomes a bit more kind of resistance. And if we go from these highs, we can connect a couple more. But I think they give us a sort of pretty similar target zone if we do that. So that's where I'm looking for on the upside after this pullback in Bitcoin. So the question is now, after this big bullish move, how far are we going to pull back? I think this is I'm hoping this is a wave 1, 2, 3. If this is, then we're going to measure from this swing low. Okay, and we're going to look for pullback levels in here. Let's go down to a 4-hour. And we'll put in the 38.2, which is a very common retrace, and the 50%. I think one of these two levels will catch Bitcoin. Which one? I'm not quite sure. Let's go down one more time frame to the hourly so we can see the swings, and we can measure them. So if this first swing was down here, then we made an ABC. You can see that the equal measured move, it lines up with the 50% back at 35.24 as well. So 2 votes for the 35.24 level, and it looks like we're underneath the 35.76 level that hasn't caught us. So a bit further for Bitcoin to fall. If we extend a little bit, we could come back to this hourly 200 moving average at 34.86, but I think that that's unlikely. When we go back to the daily and we look at where the daily 20 moving average is, because we really kind of don't, even though they're flat and it becomes a bit of a range trade, we don't really want to go too far beyond that. So that adds weight to this 35.24 level being support in Bitcoin. But there is some argument for this to come a little bit lower, and the reason is, I'm going to put that back to 34.86. And the reason is this big green candle. Very often, we've talked about this, it's a Maribosu candles with big bodies. The 50% mark of the open close becomes support and resistance. So if we do that, that's 34.90. So only $4 difference from this 34.86 potential support level and hourly 200 moving average. So now that we put that back on, we've got two levels, if you like, that we go back for. And now go back to our hourly. Here we go. So either 35.24 using Bitstamp prices, or 34.90. Between those two levels, I think, is where we find support in Bitcoin and we rally from, worst case. So some of the other coins are looking a bit stronger than Bitcoin. ETH and Litecoin are holding very tight sideways ranges, so a bit more encouraging, you know. And for people who are depressed seeing Bitcoin come back like this, when you look at this price action that we made in the rally, which is really, really strong, and then look at this price action as we move lower and this choppy overlapping moves that we're making, there's no question that this is corrective, and we should be looking for at least another leg higher from here, at the moment anyway. I think if we got below 34.90, it might be a bit of a different story. So that's Bitcoin. If we'll just take a look at one more exchange, because sometimes the prices vary, don't we? Let's look at, should we look at Binance or BitMEX? Binance. Let's look at Binance. So here in from our swing low, we're still holding above the 38.2 in this one as well. It's at 35.95. If we drop down to the 50% level, 35.53. And if we mark the 50% level of our, so 35.53, I think is ideal support for in Bitcoin at Binance. But if we look for the 50% level of our big thrust candle in this one, then potentially we come out a little bit lower to 34.97. So 3,500 anyway should be a good target back for Bitcoin and support in this pullback. and it's going very slowly, which is a bit disappointing. A bit more encouraging though is the price action in Ethereum and Litecoin, as in very tight sideways ranges, no new lows in this one. And you know, with 5 waves up like this that we can see here in Ethereum, the most common place to come back for support is this bottom of this wave 4. So if we look at the swing that led into the top, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then this wave 4. Because if you think about it, this is what changes the trend. As long as we stay above this level, we're still in an uptrend, and we haven't made a lower low. So support in Ethereum dollar is at 117. Let's check a fib on and see if that lines up with anything. It does. It lines up with that 382 fib level as well. So pretty good support at 118. If we do break this previous lows, 115.30 in ETH dollar at Bitfinex. We'll look at one more exchange. Let's look at BitMEX this time. We'll do a different one. So broken out of our box, lovely 5 waves up, all looking pretty good from this low at BitMEX. So the 38.2 and the previous swing low, we're looking for around 115.50, and if we stretch a bit lower, 112.50 in ETH dollar on this pullback.